We'll be talking about and discussing a very important aspect of this NEP program, which is academic leadership, governance, etc. And we shall be confining our discussion for about 90 minutes that we'll have on the academic leadership, who are academic leaders, and how their role and their importance has, got enhanced, especially after the implementation of NEP 2020. Yeah, when it comes to the leadership as such, leadership has to do with making and marring the institutions. It has a very important role, and that role can never be undermined. So, if you've got a country, if you've got any political party, and for that matter, any kind of a corporate organization which has got a very visionary, a very sound, we can say a very knowledgeable kind of a leader, there is every hope and a belief in the success of that particular organization. And then when we talk about the academic institutions, the higher education institution in particular, and then we know that teachers from the word go, we have heard that teachers are the builders of nation. So when teachers are naturally the builders of nation, the ones who are running those particular institutions to which these nation builders are actually belonging to, naturally we need to have them, far more competent, visionary kinds of people, kinds of leaders who can run these education institutions. So in light of that, it's all the more necessary that we know about what leadership is all about. In fact, I might give an example to you also. At times it so happens that we feel that since we're in the infancy of our careers, we are yet to assume the charge of leadership. Is it that important for us to know about it at this point in time? Yes, of course, it's very important. We need to get exposure to what leadership is all about and how can we be very effective leaders in our respective organizations, especially once we assume the charge of any charge in our education institutions. We should be in a position to actually run, and we should be able to discharge that very effectively. So that way, we should never be having this kind of a feeling that we are yet to think of having any headship position or a deanship position, or maybe for that matter, principalship or the vice chancellorship. You never know that how and when that time will come. But having a proper exposure of leadership is all the more necessary. Now, you know that when it comes to any education institution, especially when it comes to the university or the colleges, be it a principal, be it a vice chancellor, there are some given parameters on the basis of which the appointment of vice chancellors, the appointment of the principals, the appointment of the heads of the departments, the deans of the schools takes place. And in most of the cases, we have, for example, the experience that matters. That how senior a person is, that gives, that leaves a possibility for him to be elevated as a principal or as a head or a dean, or for that matter, the vice chancellor of the university. Then there are parameters like, for example, his citations, his research work that he has done. That also becomes a kind of a parameter. But then there is no parameter of whether the person is an able leader. Does he have that, I can say, competence to run the institutions? And in doing so, it means that we are not doing any good service to appointing any person who doesn't have any exposure and understanding of leadership, who doesn't know ABC of leadership, what leadership is all about, and how a person can become a very effective leader. And then when it comes to the implementation of national education policy, why we say that assumed more of importance is because the kind of the intent there is in separating education, in enlightening the students, and also in, we can say, resorting to interdisciplinary kind of or a multidisciplinary kind of education system. And then also we know different kinds of policies that have been that are to run the future education institutions. For instance, you have exit entry system, which is something which is in no way related to what we used to have a long time ago. A very traditional, a very conservative system was altogether different than what the new one, the contemporary education system, the government of India and is in fact intending to have in the country. So that makes it all the more necessary that we ought to have a proper exposure of running our institutions properly, running them in a most effective manner. Now, when it comes to again leaders, we have different types of leaders. We will discuss about that also, but we'll not be more theoretical. We'll try to give some practical examples, and we shall be in a position to actually know that what and how a leader can actually make a difference, especially in the education institutions. Now, look at the leaders. We have leaders, for instance, who are actually leaders because of their seniority, as we talk about, especially in the education institutions, but or because of other parameters, that's the research contribution that they have made. But we never think in terms of the real contribution, which is the competence of a leader concerned, whether he has got the real know-how and understanding of running the institutions as well. Now, we begin with a little bit with how important a leader is in any given organization. There is a very, relevant statement as given by Charles Talleyrand that I'm more afraid of an army of 100 sheep led by a lion than an army of 100 lions led by a sheep. Look at the kind of a statement that he's making about the leader. More afraid of an army of 100 sheep led by a lion. So, though there is only one lion, but you have 100 sheep who this line is basically leading. And then he says, then an army of 100 lions led by a sheep. So in a given organization, if you've got very visionary, very competent kind of people, but the person who is to take a call, a person who is to lead them, a person who has to make the decisions, he is not that competent. He's like a sheep, for instance. So you have on one side very visionary kind of people, on the other side is a person who is running their affairs, who is the leader, but is a leader like a sheep. So it simply indicates that these 100 lines will not make any impact simply because the person who is holding them, under whose subordination they have to work, is not a kind of a leader, is not kind of a line that the rest of the followers are. So it makes it clear that the leadership is all the more necessary. Having a sound, having a very visionary kind of a leader is all the more necessary. Then again, how are leaders different from the routine managers? Does whom we can call as a leader and whom we can call simply as a manager? You know that when we talk about leaders, normally we find in leaders creativity. We find in leaders innovation. They are always in search of that innovation. They are always in search of doing something very differently. And by dint of that kind of a intent, they are dubbed as leaders. Because of that kind of a inclination, because of that kind of an interest, that they are always for want of innovation, they're always after doing things differently, and therefore creating kind of uncertainty. They never believe in certainty. They never believe in doing the things that have been done in the past, the way they have been done in the past. They're always in search of doing the things very differently, and that is the kind of a lead that we require in when it comes to the the national education policy, which has got altogether different kinds of policies, which are very essential and very important for any given organization, especially when it comes to the education. Now, have a look on this. Am I audible to you, please?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, fine. So we'll start with, for example, leadership, the process of guiding and directing. We say that it is a process of guiding and directing, something that is not possible to happen overnight. A leader has to be very patient. A leader has to be very tolerant. Many things he has to absorb, many things he has to bear, many things he has to tolerate. Because it's a process of guiding. If he has to really create the followers of future, tomorrow, so naturally he has to be tolerant. He has to be, I can say, very patient in guiding and in directing the behavior of his followers. And especially when you talk about the work environment, we normally say that the best leader is a leader who creates future leaders. So it does not confine the kind of skills that are required for a leader to himself alone, but he is a man who is gradually developing future leaders. He is to act as a model, and he is observed by others, he is followed by others. So naturally, a leader has to have a very different kind of a temperament. That's why we say that it's a process of guiding and directing the behavior of people, which is not to take place overnight, which is surely to take time. And that's why we say that leaders ought to have that patience and tolerance to keep in mind that they are creating the future leaders. Then also formal leadership, officially sanctioned leaders. Again, we have two types of leaders. One is what we call as an official or a formal kind of a leader, who has got official, we can say, authority bestowed with him. And by dint of that authority, he is running the affairs. He is in a very formal kind of a position, and he is giving orders. He is giving the guidance. Then we have got some who are very informal. You might have also seen in organizations that there are some people who have got a very charismatic kind of a tinge, very charismatic. They don't have any formally or officially sanctioned leadership, but because of their exposure, because of their experiences, because of their knowledge, because of their understanding of the things, they are, I can say, attracting a good number of followership. So we say naturally that they don't have any official sanctioned leadership, but they have unofficial leadership, which is accorded to them by people, by other members of the organization. Then followership is actually, it is, the opposite of what the leadership is all about. Here we have the persons to receive the guidance, to receive the directions, and the movement at different intervals of time, at different points of time. We are leaders and we are at times followers as well. We have got a formal leadership at times and we are at times informal. Given the different kinds of roles and regulations that we have to play, for example, as teachers, once you go into the class, you have a formal, you have an officially sanctioned, we can say, authority. You have to run the class, you have to take the class, you have to direct the students. So, but in a way, a same person has got different types of rules at different points in time. And now, if suppose we are simply the teacher, we don't have any other, I can say, sanctioned authority. We are not the heads of the departments, we are not the deans, we are not the principals. We are simply faculty members, we are simply teachers. That again means that therein also you have got some kind of a leadership role. And likewise, at times, very informal. There are people seeking counseling from you, seeking advices from you. That time again, you become a leader. Though you don't have any officially sanctioned, we can say, authority, but by dint of your charisma, by dint of your knowledge and exposure and experience, you are being approached by people for advice and for counseling. And then followership, again, the same person, at times a leader, at times a formal leader, at times an informal leader, and at times a simple follower, seeking advice from others, seeking counsel from others. So this is how our life is move on. But then, as I said about the difference between the managers and the leaders, one of the critical differences we find is in the approach that both of these managers and leaders have when it comes to the work environment. The moment you find a person who sits in a cozy room, who is not innovative, who is not creative, who just follows what was done already and the way things were being done in the past, simply dub him as a manager. He is a person who is simply and strictly following the given rules and regulations. He doesn't bother to do something very different. He doesn't bother to do something very innovative. At the moment we have such kinds of people and we see them around, we observe them, we observe their behaviors, we observe their actions. And by dint of those actions, they will simply be dubbed as managers. Leaders are absolutely innovative. Leaders are absolutely creative. Leaders have their own ways of understanding the things. That's what makes them different from the managers. That's we say here. And then when it comes to the manager, it is essentially, manager is essentially trying to reduce uncertainty and stabilize the organization. His only goal is like that. He is more concerned with how things are happening and let them proceed on like that. You might have seen number of vice chancellors, number of principals in your colleges, maybe a number of heads of the departments in your own departments. They follow a beaten track. They are least concerned with doing something very different. Yeah, this is the way it used to be done in the past, so I do it the same way. No, today's leaders, be you the head of the departments, the deans, or the principals, you have a very different role to play, because national education policy is actually trying to sensitize the future leaders with the demands of national education policy. And important policies are that you have to be very innovative. You have to think beyond the box. You have to do something very differently. so that the policy as such could be properly implemented. There are no hiccups, there are no issues with the implementation of the policy, and you are properly guided and you are properly exposed to leadership, and you did not turn out to be an accidental leader, rather a very informative leader, a very knowledgeable leader. That is the demand. That is the reason that these programs are being actually conducted. Now, as we say, leadership is a process which creates an uncertainty. So you do always things very differently, and you motivate people to action, you inspire them, you encourage them. That has to be the role of a leader. That has to be the role of the another department. But all that, it boils down onto how knowledgeable you are, how visionary you are, how action oriented you are. And that's why we normally say that leaders walk the talk. They don't only say, they have got some inner capabilities and capacities by dint of which they are actually the leaders. They're not considered to be the managers because of their approach, because of their innovativeness and creativity that they hold. And if we have to see the difference, again, we say that leaders and managers both make a valuable contribution to the organization, but each one's contribution differ. Leaders agitate for change. They want to do different things. Managers simply advocate for what is called basically the stability and the status. And that's how we normally see in most of the cases it happens like that. Now look on this particular important aspect, because before we proceed on to discussing that how is the leadership and academic leadership related to national education policy, we need to have a brief, if not in detail, a brief understanding of what models and what we can say theories govern the leadership. There was a time when traits were considered to be very important for a leader to be a successful leader. Traits. So if you have to see any success in a leader or an effective as a leader, it were the traits, that they are holding some traits which are very unique, and by dint of those particular traits only, people become very successful at the end of as successful leaders. Then again emerged a different kind of a perspective, which is called a behavioral perspective, that we should not look into what traits people have in order to be effective leaders. Let's look at their behaviors. And these two perspectives have got far-reaching implications. We will discuss them. They have got far-reaching implications. Then side by side, we have got the contingency theories, transformational leadership, distributed leadership, shared, authentic, servant leadership, academic leadership, all very important. Now, before we move on, we may discuss something about these traits. What traits, what was actually being conceived to be more important for a leader? It is being said that there was a time, and in fact, it still continues to a larger extent, that theories that consider personal and physical qualities and characteristics that differentiate a leader from a non-leader. They have got some physical attributes, and like, be it the height, be it the weight, physique, energy, health, appearance, and even age. These were considered to be of material significance in describing the effective or non-effective kind of leaders. Traits were all, and traits were very important. And traits were something that if a person doesn't have had those particular traits, it could not be dubbed as to be the effective leader. And then there was a time again, we say as the Chinese philosopher Lao Tzu, Lao Tzu, what did he say that? He said that when it comes to an effective leader, he is to be a very selfless person, a very honest one, a fair and hardworking. So these were some of the things that were being kept in mind in order to describe the successful leader. Only the innate qualities and capabilities of leaders that were being talked about. And then came a situation when there was a research conducted on to looking at the consistency in the list of effective traits. And the researchers were now interested, since that was a time there was not that flow of information. So what you see today, it would instantly be heard and it instantly be seen by people all around the world because of the social media platforms that are available right now. That was a very altogether different old time when news from one country or region would come to another country or region. It would take a lot of time. So likewise, philosophers, researchers, authors, who in fact conceived, or who because of their exposure and their observations, they identified some traits, they were just confined, those states were confined to them alone at that point in time. Hardly a few would get to know about it because the flow of information was absolutely very slow. Then over a period of time, what happened? It was to be seen, therefore, that people from different walks of life, from different backgrounds, from different races, who have identified different kinds of traits in their own, I can say, understanding, given their own exposure, given the place they were brought up. So all they had their own, we can say, identification of these traits. And therefore, when a researcher, Stockdale, for example, he tried to see that what is very unique in these traits, how much they resemble to each other. I found that there was no such a consistency. Major review of it couldn't find consistency in the list of effective traitors. So, what was conceived to be a trait for an effective leader in, suppose, Japan was not the same that was found in China, or that was found in Russia, or that was found in USA. So, it means that all these different kinds of authors, researchers, and scholars, they have identified, or they have had identified unique kinds of what you may call as the traits. They were just, I can say, confined to that, and as a result of that, there was no consistency found in these different traits. But then what happened afterwards, that with the flow of information, when it got a little bit more clear that who is thinking how about the effective leaders, about the successful leaders, something emerged. Like, for example, it was found that by and large, there was a recognition of traits among effective leaders, which resurfaced of late. Like, suppose it focused on skills, it focused on knowledge, it focused on the aptitudes, it did focus also on other personal, what you may call as characteristics for superior performance. So the point basically trying to convey is that initially, because of the traits that were identified by different researchers and scholars in different parts of the world, there was no convergence found. There was no consistency found because of the reason that people have had their own ways of, I mean, understanding the traits of the leaders, and therefore no consistency was found. But of course, as we say that there was a resurgence of the recognition of these traits. Again, there was a belief that look, there was a time when traits were not dubbed to be that important for an effective leader, though initially they were, subsequently not. Then again, there were again scholars who said that no, we cannot do away with the competencies and we cannot do away with the traits that are again very important for leaders to run the show. So it was around this time only, instead of having too many traits as identified by different scholars and authors, there were efforts made, for example, by Paul Costa and Robert McRae. They just tried to squeeze them into a few dimensions: extraversion, conscientiousness, openness to experience, emotional stability, and agreeableness. So all these different traits that were identified by different scholars at different places and in different contexts, they were put together, and ultimately a very significant and a remarkable work that was done by Paul Costa Jr. and Robert McRae was that all these different items, all these different kinds of traits were put into these five personality measures. Very well, widely acclaimed as Big Five personality framework. Big Five personality framework. It talks about extroverts, talk about conscientiousness, openness to experience, emotional stability, and each one of them have been this way or that way related to the leaders. Am I audible to you, please?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Say, for example, extroversion. Leaders high in extroversion are outgoing, energetic, and assertive, communicate very successfully and very effectively. Then conscientiousness was another important trait. It reflects responsibility, organization, dependability. Leaders require to have all this. And likewise, we have, for example, openness to experience. Leaders are very creative, curious, and open to new ideas. They are adaptable and they encourage innovation. That's what I was talking about. Openness to experience. They do not go by what is the way things have been done in the past. They always think of doing things very differently. Then emotional stability. Emotionally stable leaders, they manage stress well and stay very calm under pressure. Look, again, very important trait that a leader ought to have. Low, he has to be on neuroticism. He has to be very low on it. He has to have a very high emotional stability. He has to tolerate a lot. He has to have a patience. He has to bear many things in order to be a very successful kind of a leader. He has not to react instantly. So emotional stable people do not instantly react. They wait and watch, and then only they react to the things in order to have things very clear before them. And then again, you move on to agreeableness. Agreeable leaders are cooperative, compassionate, and they value harmony. They build strong relationships, and they are not there to what we normally say is the case with the leaders. And they cannot be, in fact, dubbed as leaders that, divide and then rule them. These kinds of leaders, they have got a very strong belief in agreeableness, valuing harmony, valuing cooperation, being sympathetic to others, being considerate. These are very important kinds of traits. So, traits, as I said, that since there were innumerable traits identified by different scholars and authors from different parts of the world, they were ultimately kind of pulled together at one place on five different personality dimensions. We talked about them. So the idea was basically this, that all these different items, they be given some kind of a name. Suppose all the items that come under agreeableness, items that come under emotional stability. So in order to facilitate the identification of which of these particular traits are valuable with the leaders or with the person as such. Suppose if you have to make a selection, you will make a selection on the basis of the kinds of traits people have. And for that, you ought to have had, a questionnaire, you ought to have the items through which you would be able to identify those traits in the people. But an important thing is that when you talk about these competencies, you talk about these traits and competency perspective that we may call it as, is not without, we can say, limitation. It's not foolproof. We cannot say that we can always depend upon the traits of the, I can say, people in order to ensure that he could be a very successful leader. He could be a very effective kind of a leader. So there are limitations. For example, one of the limitations is that competencies refer to leadership potential. People have got the potential, but it is not a must that it will be translated into performance. How many times do you tell your children you have seen their potential? They are very, we can say, high performing children of yours, very high performing students, very high performing, we can say, boys and girls. But the problem is that they do not give time to. They have a potential, but they don't perform actually ultimately. So having a trait does not necessarily mean that a person will make use of that trait. So people are intelligent, but they don't make use of it. For instance, people are hardworking, but they not make use of it. So you may have traits, but those traits may not necessarily be put to use. So most important thing is that only identification will not work. What works and what can work is actually that a person has actually put that potential or that competency into work. This is very important. Now, therefore, as I say that there are limitations with it. So therefore, there was a time, for example, 1940s and 60s. We know that today's world is evidence-based. That's why we call it as evidence-based management. You may have a lot of things in your mind. Unless and until you produce an evidence, nobody is going to accept it. So acceptance of anything that you have to sell will depend upon what kind of an evidence you have. So therefore, if say, for example, we would only say that traits are very important. Traits are important for the success of a leader. Traits make a leader very successful a leader. Traits make a leader a very effective leader. That is only, it could prove to be a very myth only. You ought to have some evidences. Therefore, in order to know that what are the evidences, how can we claim that what particular leadership perspective is more relevant and important? And here we say that a different perspective emerged because there was a lot of criticism, as I said, on the traits. Therefore, a different kind of a perspective emerged, which what is called the behavioral perspective. Let us not look at the traits of the, leaders. Let us look at the behavior of the leaders. How do they behave? And what will happen with this perspective is that we would be in a position to emulate these behaviors, and then accordingly we may train future leaders. Now, if suppose somebody has got a trait, is it that easily possible to have it with another person? It's not possible. You have a trait, and that trait lies with you only. So, if you only believe in traits as responsible for successful leadership, then we are gone. We have to always look at, therefore, those people who have got those peculiar kinds of traits in order to select them as your leaders or your organization leaders, which is not always possible. Therefore, what was then afterwards considered to be more relevant and important was that we shall do a kind of a study. Study will let us know what successful and effective leaders have when it comes to their behavior. How do they behave? How do the successful and effective leaders behave? Rather than looking at the traits of the successful leaders. Am I audible to you? Are you hearing me properly?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Shall I use the same language, or I shall move to Hindi Urdu? Or this is fine with you? Shall I proceed on the same way? Great. Are you hearing me now? Huh? So when it comes to this little behavioral perspective, I just wanted that, shall I use Hindi Urdu in between? No, I will proceed on there. Okay. Now look at this. That researchers basically try to attempted to correlate leader behavior, moods, and styles to subordinates' performance and satisfaction. So what ultimately matters is that the behavior of a leader. Leader of a behavior matters in the sense that it should basically inspire the respondents. It should inspire the followers. It should inspire the subordinates. Their performances should go up. Their levels of satisfaction should go up because of the leader. Now, if that does not happen, what is the fun of having a leader, any kind of a quality? So, what ultimately is to be seen that how leaders ultimately behave and how that leader results in the satisfaction and superior performance of the subordinates. That is what basically these two important studies, Michigan University and Ohio State University, they try to dig. They try to dig that how do the successful and effective leaders behave? What is something very unique in their behaviors? Now, what did they find? For example, if we take the Ohio State University, two universities, Ohio State University and Michigan University, they conducted this research. And what did they find? They found two important dimensions of, we can say, the behaviors of the effective leaders. One they found was the initiating structure. The other one they found was the consideration. Two substantially accounted for most of the leadership behavior described by employees. The questionnaire was given to, or the information was sought from the employees. Employees are, in a way, best judges. Employees are the ones with whom this leader has got the interaction. They can better understand the kind of a behavior this leader is exhibiting. And what did they find? They found that initiating structure and consideration, these being the most important, we can say, the behaviors of the leaders, most important behaviors of the leaders. Now, what is initiating structure? Initiating structure actually means who is who, guiding people, identifying their roles, guiding them. That is the way it has to be, initiating structure. The first and foremost thing that a leader should know who he is, why he is a leader, why he is to manage as a principal, why he is heading the department, why he is a vice chancellor. He should have a proper know of his role. And if he is not well aware of his own role, he won't be able to identify the roles of his subordinates. Then another important feature and an important behavior of this leader is the consideration. That means he has a mutual trust. He respects the feelings of his subordinates. He respects the employee, we can say, ideas. It means that the ideas that flow from the subordinates are not, I can say, they are accepted. They are accepted. So it means that a leader is considerate as well. The leader shows respect for the employees' inputs. That's why we say that he is there to gain that, mutual trust, respect for his subordinates, and then also their feelings as well. So these were the two important dimensions that they found, two behavioral aspects of the successful leaders. Even of the 1,000 various dimensions, they could find that only these two dimensions mattered a lot to the employees, and this mattered in describing the behavior of their leaders. This is what the uh, Ohio State University identified. Then again, look at this Michigan University. What did they also find? Two behavioral dimensions they found in the study. One is employee-oriented leader, the other one is a production-oriented leader. And as we know that when it comes to the Ohio State University, they found consideration as one of the leaders, one of the behavioral, I can say, aspects of the leaders. The other one they also found was the what we call as the initiating structure. Who is doing what, how best he can do that. So, I mean, on one side, in that particular study, also there was a focus on employee, and also in that study, we found that there was a focus on production. So is the case here also. Though these studies were conducted poles apart from each other, neither of the two universities knew about what the other university is doing, what the other university is working on or doing research on. But look at this, that they ultimately found almost the same dimensions, that a manager, his behavior is more tilted towards being employee oriented and also towards being production oriented. And here the study indicates that it emphasizes rather the importance of participatory leadership, where leaders seek input from subordinates, enhancing job satisfaction and productivity. So a successful leader is one, a successful, we can say, head of the department is one, a successful, we can say, principal is one who maintains balance between the two. He is not skewed towards employees alone at the cost of production, and nor does he only skew towards the production at the cost of employees. So both have to be kept in balance. That is how he could be, I can say, he could emerge as an effective and a successful kind of a manager, leader. Now, are you hearing me properly, please? Am I audible to you all?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Fine. This is my habit of asking the participants, especially when it comes to the online classes, to seek their, I can say, inputs on, and also to ensure that they are there only. It's very important. So that's one of the important, I can say, reasons that I'm asking off and on the participants whether they are hearing me properly, am I audible to them? But anyways, since I'm talking about an important aspect, that's initiating structure and being considerate. These are two important things. Now, a question could be there: when should the manager be, or when should a leader be considerate, and when should he be what is called initiating structure? When should he look at what role an employee has, and when should you look at consideration, that is being considerate, being I can say sympathetic towards employees. Here we have important thing that we have to keep in mind is readiness of employees. Readiness of employees. What does this readiness of employees mean? Actually, is that readiness of employees actually indicates that what kind of leadership behavior is to be used by a leader. Should he always be considerate towards him? Should he always tell him what to do and how to do it? Or there is something beyond this as well? Say, for instance, there is an employee who knows how to do things and he does also. Do we require the same kind of a treatment towards him that we require for a person who does not want to know and who is not willing to do also? If you are hearing me, this question should strike your mind. My question is that we have different followers, different types of subordinates. As is the case in our classrooms also, we have got different types of students in our classrooms. Now look, we have students who are themselves willing to do something, and they do it also. Not only that a person is willing to do, but he does it as well. And then also importantly, he has a competence to do as well. Competence is equally important. Suppose the person is willing to do something, but he doesn't have a competence. What would we do? Likewise, there is a person who has a competence, but he does not want to do. So shall we have a same treatment for all these different kinds of people, or the treatment of a leader shall and will differ from person to person? This is a question that I'm asking you. Hope you'll respond. Can you have your videos on for a moment? Yes, Shrikant, Sachin. So we have a few who have present there, Chandrakant. So we have Harshvardhana. I was simply asking one thing, that how many of you are heads of the departments? Do we have heads of the departments in the program? Any deans? So you are all faculty members
Yes, sir.
likely to take over as heads of the
Yes.
departments. Yes, please.
Yes.
There may be a few, of course. I'm sure that there might be a few who are heading the departments also. But anyways, I was asking a very simple question. It was in relation to what we just discussed. We talked about two important things, that a leader has to be considerate and he has also to be production oriented. Head physics, we have one from head department of physics. So must be the case. Naturally, we'll have different types of participants and some being head of the departments as well. But what trying to convey to you is that can our treatment be the same for all different types of employees? That is not possible. So we have some employees who are willing to do and they are competent as well. There are employees who are willing to do but are not competent to do. There are employees who are competent to do but they do not do. So we have mixture of employees. Naturally, when it comes to you are dealing with these different types of employees, your, I can say, behavior has to be naturally different. It cannot be the same for all different types of employees. You have to be very situational in that context. That is what basically we are talking here. We say that we have some employees with whom we have to be very different than the employees, than other employees. Like for example, R1, unable and unwilling. You have employee who is unable and who is unwilling as well. There has to be a very high amount of initiative structure. Always go on advising him, always go on criticizing him, always go on guiding him, always go on being considerate towards him. Then we have an employee who is unable but is willing. One thing is good with him, that he is unable but he is willing to do. He wants to do something but is unable to do. For him, we may have to initiate a structure, we may have to also be considerate towards it. Then we might have a person able but unwilling. A person is able but he is unwilling to do. We have at times our own children, at times they're very able to do the things they can do but they're not willing to do. What would you do? Participating, give them counseling always. When it comes to initiative structure, it will be very low because they're competent themselves. The only thing that we have to do is to just go on persuading them, to, I mean, inspiring them, encouraging them. And then we have some kinds of employees who are both good at, I can say, they're able, they can do the things of their own, and they're also willing to do the things of their own. It plays a very important role. Now, what I would like to do with you is that since some of you are already as heads of the departments, or some of you have to play a role as head of the department, so I'm just sharing a kind of a questionnaire with you. Is it visible to you? Is it visible to you, please?
No, sir.
Nothing is visible?
No, sir.
What about this? Not visible at all. Is it visible or not?
No, no, sir.
Nothing is visible. How about this? How about this?
Control J का, select करो Control J का.
Yes, am I audible to you?
Yes, yes, sir. Yes.
What about this? Isn't this visible also? Is it visible to you?
No, sir. You are visible, but your screen is not.
It was not earlier also not visible?
No, no. You, sir. You are only visible, but your presentation or other.
Oh, very unfortunate. Just a minute, please. Oh, I thought that
Share screen.
I have not shared you. I also forgot it. Oh, very unfortunate. There is a little problem in this, the sharing of the screen.
तुमचे आणि विद्यापीठमा उमरखेडपर्यंत पोहोचलेला आहे.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it is visible now.
Now visible.
Oh, very unfortunate. I thought that I forgot to basically share the screen that point in time. And you also did not notice it, and you didn't also say me anything about it. But anyways, now is this visible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah, please. So there are some questions. What you have to do is you have to just for each item you can use a scale: 1 never, 2 seldom, 3 occasionally, 4 often, and 5 always. The first item is I let group members know what is expected of them, and it depends upon you, your persona. How would you do it? Then in that case, what is important is that you put the score against each item. It could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, as you feel about it. There are instructions also given on the top. If you go through the instructions and then fill it up, it's only half of the question available here. There are some other 12 items as well. I will share them after you are done with these 8 items. Am I right? Am I right? Are you hearing me, please? Am I audible to you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Okay, please do fill it up. You can take a screenshot or you can just only have a pen with you and then you go on scoring the items 1, 2, 3, 4 up to 6, 8. Once you're done, I will move it to the next 12. Are you done with it, please? Are you done?
Yes, sir.
Have you got the score now? There are items from 1 to 10 and then 11 to 20. Once you are done with the items, all the 20, first of all, do one thing that you add up 1 to 10. You will get a score for it. One to 10, then 11 to 20. But the only thing that, are you done with it? You don't respond, please. Do respond. If you are done with it, we will proceed on then. Shall we move forward? Did you add them up? Are you hearing me?
Yes, sir.
So are you done with this course? Oh, I'm not hearing anything from your end. I don't know. Why are you so silent? Teachers can never be silent. Can teachers be silent? They should not actually be. But anyways, I don't know whether you are responding, you have done it or not. You don't respond. Any one of you is not responding it properly that you are done with it. Doesn't look good. Anyways, now since we talk about the national education policy, we talk about that how important it is and how relevant the academic leadership is in the I can say NEP 2020 because of the transformation of the higher education because institutions educational ecosystem. The government is hell bent at that the national education policy should basically pave the way for transforming the educational ecosystem through introduction of autonomy, multidisciplinary system, multiple entry and exit points, academic banks of credits, proposed increased gross enrollment. So all these are actually the most important policy decisions for implementation. So they have to be properly implemented. And as a result of that, we find that there are lots of regulatory reforms that have been done in the past, in the recent past. And the only objective is to transform the higher educational, we can say, ecosystem. Now, in that regard, a leader, a traditional one, has no place. It's very difficult for him to run the affairs. For instance, if we take some of the important roles that today's academic leaders have to play, one, we talk about strategic role in implementing NEP 2020. Strategic role is there. The introduction of structural, curricular, pedagogical change that the national education policy wants for implementation. All academic leaders, be it the principals, the HODs, deans, they must be in the proper shape and understanding of interpreting these reforms and strategically implement within their institution. They should be in a proper know of that. They should have a proper understanding of how to implement it. In the beginning, though our university, the University of Kashmir, implemented NEP 2020, and we are one amongst the premier, I can say, institutions in the country which adopted and implemented the national education policy reforms in long ago in 2022. And you know that we also faced lots of issues and problems in the beginning. And you ought to have a very dynamic person to run the affairs, to be on the top, and to have a proper understanding of the demands of national education policy reforms. Transition to multidisciplinary education, multidisciplinary and holistic learning. Academic leaders must redesign curricula, promote cross-disciplinary collaboration, and also guide faculty in adapting to broader teaching approaches. This is what a leader is supposed to do. A very conservative approach is in no way, I can say, in any way, I can say, suitable given the kind of demands that we have. Likewise, autonomy and institutional transformation. Again, academic leadership and NEP 2020. We find that I have a very important call to attend. Please, just for a minute or two, I'll be attending it. Please, kindly bear with me. हाँ तारी सर हाँ हाँ साहब क्या लगे हाँ ऐसे भी लगते हैं ओ तम हम चलन गम से भी नहीं ना 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 सुधी नजर में नहीं सुबह मैं क्या इसमें कहती हूँ नहीं ठीक 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 So, anyways, autonomy and institutional transformation. We know that we have some universities which are only to, I can say, conduct research. Miru universities, multidisciplinary education research universities. Effective leadership requires to build internal governance. Now, this is very important. that internal governance of these I can say institutions have to be basically made effective. Quality assurance mechanisms have to be put in place in order to actually implement the National Education Policy 2020. Likewise, focus is on research and innovation and quality. You know that there was a time when research was a prerogative of the universities alone, but now you know that the action oriented, the practical, we can say, research is the need of the hour, and that's the reason that the colleges have been also entrusted with this responsibility of conducting research. And then academic leaders now have to play a central role in promoting a research culture, facilitating faculty development, guiding refresher, we can say, and orientation courses, and fostering collaborations to enhance institutional research output and societal relevance. So again, we say that this is the role and this is the responsibility of the academic leaders. What they have to do is they have to have a focus on research, innovation, and quality. The academic research is not that relevance and importance nowadays. You have to go into the societies, you have to have the extended, I can say, what's called the extension responsibilities. And those extended responsibilities mean that in your own society, in your own region, you have to identify the problems, you have to identify the issues, and you have to address them. You have to come up with the solutions to those issues and problems for the government to take them up. Government cannot reach to each and every place for research purposes to dig deep what are the issues and problems of a peculiar, for example, region or a particular area. So these ought to be done as extended activities on the part of the respective colleges and the universities. They have to undertake those different villages, different areas for research purposes. Understand that what there are, say for example, there's an area which is, we can say, fully what is they are fraught with the drug addicts. A large chunk of youngsters are used to drugs. Now, this is a responsibility of a college concerned in the locality to look into the issues why they have resorted to drugs and where from they get it. What are the possible solutions to stop youngsters to resorting to drugs, or likewise many different kinds of social evils. If your youngsters are, I can say, in any way involved in the job of the education institution is far beyond simply providing education. They have to do all these different kinds of welfare and important activities in their vicinity, in their locality. So for that, again, you require a very advanced academic leader who has a vision and understanding of trying to, I can say, resort to these different extended activities. He will not remain confined to his college, or he will not remain only confined to teaching in the classrooms. He goes beyond that. Technology, we know that there is a digital education, there's a huge onslaught of, we can say, digital transformation, blended learning and online assessments. Academic leaders must drive digital transformation, ensuring faculty and students are trained and equipped to use technology effectively. They do not misuse it. Proper advice, proper counseling, for example, is again required at a stage where we have got the children who are teenagers. They come to our colleges, they come to our education institutions. It's a responsibility of we all together, and especially the academic leader, every one of us, because ultimately as teachers also we are academic leaders. So everything naturally cannot be just left to the principal of a college concern. We have a role to play. And basically, the idea is that you should not get trapped in that traditional educational system alone where you have to go for teaching in the classrooms alone. You have to go beyond that. That basically is the idea. Competency based and outcome based educational system. Now, again, when it comes to the program, your program, whatever program you are running, suppose somebody was saying that heading the Department of Physics, physics department has got a overall, this program has got a program, what we call as learning outcome, program learning outcome, the broad based program learning outcomes. And then in this program, BSc or MSc, for example, physics, there are naturally courses, different courses in each semester. And what a leader is supposed to do, and what each and every faculty member is supposed to do, is to see that how much his course is connected to the overall program learning outcome of my course. So if my course is physics, if I am imparting MBA or with this MSc in physics or BSc in physics, what I have to see is that what exactly my program learning outcomes are, and whether each of the courses taught in each of the semesters in any way align to that program learning outcome or not. That is what we say PLO CLO alignment. National Education Policy wants us to ensure that our overall program learning outcomes are so framed that every course, I can say, learning outcome is related to that program learning outcome. So what does that actually mean is that if your course learning outcome is in any way falling short, it's not correlated with the overall program learning outcome of that particular program, that course contents have to be changed so that they are in tune with the overall program learning outcome. It should not be like this, that we don't know what is the objective of this course and how this course is actually tied to the overall program that we are running. So that's the past. That's not the thing that can work now. We have to be doubly sure that we are trying to ensure that our course learning outcomes are related to our program learning outcomes. Again, the requirement is that you have to have a very visionary kind of a leader who has a proper understanding of all these things. And likewise, equity, inclusion, lifelong learning. Again, gender equality, lifelong learning, initiating supportive policies and inclusive practices. Everybody has to be taken on board. So this is how we can progress. This is how we can, I can say, grow, and this is how we can develop. Then again, capacity building and faculty empowerment. NEP's success largely will depend on motivated, trained, inspired, and empowered faculty members. Academic leaders are there to guide them. They must facilitate regular faculty programs, leadership training programs, mentorship programs. It should not be surprising for you that the University Grants Commission has siphoned off funds for the sitting vice chancellors even. We just see that how much important it is even for the sitting vice chancellors to have a proper exposure of the leadership. Lest they will fail. They won't be able to successfully run the affairs of their education institutions if they are not exposed to the nitty-gritties of leadership. That's very important. So in fact, the students, the faculty members, the college principal, the college faculty, the university faculty is being deputed and sponsored by University Grants Commission to various I can say management institutions. Look at it, private as well as public have been roped in by the University Grants Commission, by the government of, I can say, government of India, by the Ministry of Higher Education, to impart trainings to the sitting vice chancellors. That speaks volumes about that how important and how much of relevance is being attached to the leadership programs. Because as somebody has rightly said, that some scholar, religious scholar has said that he says that if I knew which of my prayers would be accepted by my Lord, I would pray for a leader, because leader has a very important role to play for the success or otherwise of an organization. So look at this. This again is an important aspect that we can talk about. Just a minute, please. So anyways, I was talking about that. I was talking about the academic leaders, how important it is that you have got the Ministry of Higher Education siphoning of the funds, sponsoring the sitting vice chancellors, principals to attend some important leadership related programs so that they are well versed with the nitty-gritties of the leadership. They do not remain in that past. They are not conservative and traditional in their dealings. So they have to have a proper exposure of running the institutions properly. Academic leaders must facilitate regular faculty programs. I know that I have a friend of mine, until very recently, he was a registrar of one of the central universities of Kashmir. And he says that of the 122 faculty members, they have already deputed 96 at different intervals of time for attending these faculty development programs. They are sponsoring them. They know that they are the future leaders. Whether they belong to science, they belong to any stream in faculty, they have to have a leadership, I can say, focused leadership understanding. So government of India is spending a huge amount of money on only training the leaders. So because they have to run the affairs of the institutions tomorrow. Now, we may proceed on to saying that when it comes to academic leadership, it does involve basically guiding and influencing members of academic institutions. And then we have different types of people in our organizations, or different categories of them, different categories of employees, be it the faculty, the staff, and the students. Please tell me that are the slides moving now? Are the slides moving? Or the slide is moving?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. Response comes very late. Now, look at the academic institutions. We have a faculty, we have got the staff there, we have got the students. And an academic leader has to take all of them, has to keep in mind every stakeholder's requirements, their feeling, their aspirations of being in the institution, or being, I can say, somehow attached to an institution, to achieve educational goals in order to advance the institution's mission. This form of leadership actually emphasizes three important points. One is learning, other one is research, and the third one we talk about the personal development. They are very important. And in our academic institutions, what is more important is that we cannot run our education institutions in a command and control kind of a situation. We cannot be commanding and controlling. We cannot be dividing and ruling. We cannot be hierarchical. We cannot have the hierarchical structures, and likewise in academic institutions. We otherwise also know that when it comes to academic institutions, I head of the departments to convene many times meetings for discussing even on very small things. The idea basically is that the education institutions should necessarily follow a democratic path. There should not be autocracy. There should not be a dictatorship. These institutions should be run in a very democratic way. And that's why a collegial system is more prevalent and should be, in fact, more prevalent in the education institutions rather than a control-centric system. You know that we have departmental committees, we have departmental research committees, we have purchase committees, different types of committees. The basic idea is that we have to actually promote a very collegial kind of a system. And then in that case, we cannot be bureaucratic. We cannot strictly fall trap to the rules and regulations. Many things that have to be done very innovatively when it comes to the academic institutions. And I'm sure that given all this, we have to be careful about some important competencies that we should have as effective leaders in any given education institution. For example, attitude. What should be our attitude? What about our knowledge? What about our behaviors? These are important aspects in order to make us very effective. When it comes to our attitude, we say that self-aware. I know who I am. What's my role? You see that in most of the cases, we find that leaders don't understand their own role. They fall trapped to the dictates of the babus, the clerks, because they have not understood things properly. Likewise, flexibility is very much required. As a teacher, sympathizer to a student in one way or the other. Open, honest, discreet, visible, and outgoing, willing to be wrong, accept advice and support. This is a very important attitudinal, we can say, hallmark with the person, that he is ready to accept that I could be wrong. Then I can never be wrong, which is very unfortunate. So if a person has got this kind of a feeling that he can never be wrong, that simply means that he won't be ready to accept any kind of a counsel, any kind of an advice. Sensitive to the views of others, very essential and important. How many times we as teachers turn our back towards the students, turn our back towards our scholars, turn our back as the department towards our faculty, fellow faculty members. So being human, because education is something where you are making other educators. Education is something that you are to act as a model for your students and who are, I can say tomorrow, your ambassadors. So you have to be very careful about your, I can say, actions and your attitude. Knowledge again, what good leaders know. Knowledge of university life, university, you understand how the university system works, understand academic processes. It's very important. You have to have that vision and understanding of the things. Then ultimately comes the behavior of a leader. These are very essential things. Work to maintain credibility, respect, act as a role model, as I'm talking about. Think very broadly, engage with people, listen to them, and then consult with others, negotiate, communicate, delegate many things, and motivate others and act as mentors, especially when it comes to being a head of the department, when it comes to being the principal of the university, the principal of a college or a vice chancellor of a university. These are the important traits that you ought to hold or to have as a successful leader. Otherwise, you will be simply controlling and trying to control the organization, your education institution, nothing beyond that. So we have to be very careful about that part in order to run our education systems properly. So before we wind up, maybe another 3 to 4 minutes, I would just like to, wrap up it with this effective academic leaders profile. One, as we have got four important quadrants. We have personal and interpersonal capacities, academic capacity, leadership styles. Now look at the personal and interpersonal capacities, influencing, communication skills, conflict resolution. He should not promote conflicts, self-regulation, regulate his own self, regulate his own temperament, regulate his own timing, likewise empathizing, commitment, decisiveness. This is what is expected of an academic leader, very effective and a sound academic leader. Likewise, he should have research credibility and reputation, community services, resource acquisition. He is able to acquire a good amount of resources or we can say funds, institutional reputation enhancement. This is what academic capacity is all about. The leadership capacity, a leader ought to be competent in many ways. He should have managerial skills, conceptual skills. He should have human skills, technical skills. These are important. Now, let us talk about today's principals, today's vice chancellors, today's head of the department. We see lots of heads of the departments, if they have to do anything online, they are not able to. COVID-19, for example, we do know that a number of teachers were not able to run the online classes. The reason was that they were not that familiar with, running them. Technically, they were not that sound. But then again, a problem is the same one. You are unable, but you are willing to learn. Nobody comes with learning. You have to learn it, of course, with the course of time. So the idea is that we should be ready to learn actually. And we see in our own university, a good number of heads of the department is we have got everything online system. We have got online system here, files, everything is, and I'm sure that it's the case with number of universities and colleges as well. But in many cases, we find that the heads of the department resort or take shelter in saying that, oh, I'm not tech savvy. They're not that elderly also that they won't be there to learn it, but they take a shelter in that. Just an excuse. Escapism, we call this escapism. Yeah, who will do it now? Why should we do it? Well, it is our responsibility. When we are well aware of these technical, this technical know-how, then only we can teach others. Likewise, leadership style. It could be consensus-based, transformational, it could be democratic, or it could be laissez-faire. All these are important different kinds, but especially we talk about the transformational leadership nowadays. So before I wind up, I would like you to pose some questions or seek clarifications from me. I would like to give another 5 to 6 minutes are there left. So instead of proceeding on, simply would like you to please raise some queries, ask me some questions, or seek clarifications from me. You're most welcome for that, please. Yes. Any queries, please? Any questions? Yes, if you got any questions, please do ask me. Or if you have got any queries to make, you're most welcome, please. Nobody is responding. How many participants do we have? Yes, please. Ah, Darisam. Where, sorry? What's your for the allocation?
Hello, participants, if there are no more questions, then we can conclude this session. If sirs will if Professor Nazir sir will permit. If you have any question, you can directly ask to Professor Nazir sir.
म्हटलं ना माईक ऑन
Yes, anyone has any questions or the queries?
थोडा लक्ष बसलं की समजतच नाही.
Yes, any participants? Sir, I think there is no more, there is no query or the questions with regards to this session.
Okay, sir. So shall we wind it up?
Yes, sir, if you could permit, we will conclude, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Yeah, it's fine. But I couldn't see any questions being raised or any queries being raised. I was waiting for. But anyways, maybe in some other session, they'll be more thrilled.
So on behalf of the both organizers, Malvi Mission Teacher Training Center, Sant Gadge Baba, Amravati University, and Shri Shivaji College of Art, Commerce and Science, I extend my sincere thanks to Professor Nazir sir for their valuable insights towards this academic leadership and the governance. So really, whatever may be the inputs you have provided during your sessions, we will inculcate in our institutions, and definitely we will overcome with whatever may be the problems that has been faced, and this leadership skills we will inculcate in our personality as well as in our institutions. We are really thankful to you, sir, for your precious time and thought-provoking session here, and with the kind consent of Professor Nazir sir, I would like to declare that this particular session will be over here. We will continue for the next session. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much. So nice of you for giving me a chance to interact with your valued participants. Thank you so much.
Participants, please stay be connected. We will continue for the next session. Yes, our next resource person has joined with us.
Yes,
Hello,
yes,
Dr.
Ankit.
Rafi sir. Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon. If you could permit, shall we start, sir?
Yes, Ankit ji, बिल्कुल.
Yes. So, friends, good afternoon once again. As I have already told you that the today's session have been split into the two different parts. First part at most we have completed, and now we are moving towards the another part. Uh, Friends, you know that our higher education institutions has play very crucial role towards the socio-economic development of our country. So what is the role of this higher education institute towards the society? And therefore we are going to discuss this very much important concept of this flagship program, that is the higher education in the society, with the help of one eminent and scholarly expert in the field of commerce and management, Dr. Rafi sir. Sir, first of all, I extend my warm welcome to you to this flagship program, in particular to this session. Friends, Dr. Rafi sir is at present serving as the Assistant Director in the Malviya Mission Teacher Training Center at Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Marathwada University, Chhatrapati Sambhajinagar. So over 2 decades of enriching experience in the teaching, training as well as the research, Sir has instrumentally engaged in the faculty training, not only in the Maharashtra or not only in the Marathwada region, but across the country. He has conducted a number of training programs for the faculty members, not only the faculty members, for the teachers. And being the assistant director of this Malviya Mission Teacher Training Center, the similar responsibility on his shoulder to sensitize and make aware our faculty members towards the adoption and the implementation of this national education policy. Sir is basically belongs to the Faculty of Commerce and Management, and he is engaging in the continuous research also. He is the recognized supervisor at Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Marathwada University, and under his able guidance, 5 scholars have been awarded with the PhD degree. Sir is the also the editor. Sir is also the editor, chief editor in a couple of journals, and he is also on the reviewer committee of the peer-reviewed journal. And his journal is well recognized journals. Uh, he has more than 100 articles on his credit that has been published in the reputed national as well as the international journal. So Professor Rafi sir will today interact us on particular this very much important concept that is the higher education in the society. So before starting the session, I first once again extend my warm welcome to Professor Rafi sir. And before starting the session, I would like to request all the participants kindly open their cameras, because rather than lecturing, this session is going in an interactive manner. So I will request all the participants to open their cameras and the videos. And now I over to Professor Rafi sir. Sir, you can please start your session. Sir, please.
Thank you, Ankit ji, for your warm welcome to this one of the important topic in this NEP orientation and sensitization course, that is higher education society, the role of higher education in society. First of all, I would like to extend my special thanks to the honorable guest director of this Malviya Mission Teachers Training Center, Sant Gadge Baba, Amravati University, Professor Atiq Ahmed sir, for inviting me to this one of the important platform in which such a learned crowd has joined this cloud meeting. Friends, as already told to you that the topic of my today's lecture will be NEP 2020 and higher education role. So before moving on to the session, I would request all the participants to open the camera. सभी participant सहभागी मित्र हमारे कैमरा ओपन करें. Thank you. My screen is visible to all participants.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir. Yes.
So, friends, role of higher education in society. Role of higher education in society. You see, friends, that higher education shapes the society by fostering personal development and critical thinking, building a skilled workforce to drive economic growth, promoting innovation and research, preserving cultural heritage, and cultivation responsible students for active civics and democratic environment. Also, you see that it acts as a catalyst for social change, promoting equality, justice by providing individual with opportunities for economic security and enabling the development of solution to societal changes. You see that the role of higher education in skill and knowledge acquisition. Higher education equips individual with advanced knowledge, critical thinking, and communication skill essential for personal growth and success in various aspects of life. Cognitive enhancement. You see that it also provides opportunities for people of all ages to strengthen higher level cognitive abilities like problem solving and decision making, making life more manageable. Character formation. You see that higher education contributes to moral development, formation, responsibility, personality. Also, economic and technology advancement, social and civic responsibility, societal progress. So, before moving on, friends, I would like to quote here the higher education or education by Swami Vivekananda, how he has quoted the education, that education should be a holistic and man-making, life-giving and character building. Education can unlock all the doors for a progress. A nation advances in proportion to education and intelligence spread among the masses. You see, friends, that timeline of the evaluation of India's higher education policy. Now, you and me are witnessing National Education Policy 2020. From past 5 years, we are saying this National Education Policy 2020. But post-independence, how the higher education policy of our country has changed, we will just look it at. First, in the year 1948-49, immediately after the independence, we had formed Radhakrishna Commission for Higher Education. In the year, as a second part, second phase, second step towards upliftment of the education in our country, in the year 1956, with a special act of parliament, we have established University Grants Commission. After 10 years, we had Kothari Commission, and the first national education policy in our country was established way back in the year 1968. We have formed the first national education policy. And after a gap of more than 16 years, we had also formed another policy, second national education policy, in the year 1986. And in the year 1992, we have formed promotion of action. In the year 2005, all of us, we have seen this as a higher education society members. We have seen the National Knowledge Commission. All of us, we have witnessed this thing as a stakeholders of the higher education, as a student, in the role of a student, in the role of a teacher. We have seen in the year 2005 that the central government has formed one National Commission National Knowledge Commission. National Knowledge Commission 2005. You see that the National Knowledge Commission 2005 was an advisory board established by Government of India under the Prime Ministership of Manmohan Singh, chaired by Sam Pitrodia. Its primary objective was to transform India into a knowledge-based society by recommending reforms to the country's knowledge-related institution and infrastructure, focusing on areas such as access to knowledge, knowledge creation, knowledge application in various sectors like education, agriculture, and public services. The NKC operated from 2005 to 2008, making extensive recommendation to the government. The key aspects of National Knowledge Commission was that the core areas, access to the knowledge, enhancing public access to information and educational resources. Then knowledge concept, rejuvenating institution involved in imparting knowledge. Then knowledge creation, fostering an environment for creating new knowledge, especially in science and technology. Knowledge application, by promoting the use of knowledge to drive sustained and conclusive growth in the sectors like agriculture and industry. Then knowledge services, utilizing knowledge to improve the efficiency, transparency, and accountability of government services through e-governance. Then we had a Committee on Higher Education in the year 2009. You see that it is also commonly known as Yashpal Committee to reform the higher education, recommending the creation of unified regulatory body, the National Commission for Higher Education and Research, to replace fragmented ones like UGC. The committee also pushed for structural reforms such as converting deemed university to full-fledged university and emphasized a greater integration of teaching and research with a focus on curriculum relevance, holistic development. What were the key aspects of Yashpal Committee Report 2009? You see that overreaching regulatory bodies. The report proposed replacing multiple regulatory bodies like UGC and AICTE with a single comprehensive commission to oversee the higher education. Now what we are seeing today? Today we are seeing that the Higher Education Commission will be coming to an existence in a very near. Then university reforms. It recommended abandoning the deemed university status and transferring these institutions into full-fledged university, along with granting more autonomy to IITs and IIMs to function on comprehensive institution. Then also it emphasizes on research. The committee stressed the importance of integrating research with teaching, moving away from purely teaching-centric models. Then curriculum and pedagogy. The report called for curriculum reforms to make education more comprehensive, relevant to current need, and adapt the global landscape. Vocational and professional education. It highlighted the need to promote vocational and interdisciplinary approaches within the universities. Then also you see that the Yashpal Committee report was considered a crucial step in reforming India's higher education sector, aiming to improve its quality and global competitiveness. Many of its recommendations, particularly regarding a unified regulator, has continued to influence the subsequent policy discussed, including the National Education Policy 2020. So, after that, we had RUSA 2013, Rashtriya Uchchitar Shiksha Abhiyan. You see that a centrally sponsored scheme by Indian government way back in the year 2013 to provide strategic funding and support for development of higher education in the country. The initiative over screening by Ministry of Education aims to improve the quality and accessibility of education by addressing issues of equality and access through state level planning and funding mechanism. Funding mechanism. RUSA provide central funding to state higher education institution with funding ratio varying from different states and union territories. Strategic planning. States are required to develop and submit comprehensive state higher education plan to address critical issues in access, equality, and quality. So we had RUSA 1, RUSA 2, and now we are having PM Usha. And then what we have seen or what we have witnessed is the National Education Policy 2020. July 28, we have seen National Education Policy 2020, which all of us have witnessed, and still it is in an implementing phase completely. The NEP 2020 has not been implemented completely. Kindly take a note of it. You see, the friends, in our country, we are having more than 1,000 universities, 1,100 universities, 11,168 universities are there. Then we are having 45,000 colleges. Then we are having tuition teachers in the higher education. So it is also called as the third largest higher education system in our country. We can say that it is the third largest higher education system in our country. Outflow and inflow imbalance of the higher education. You see, friends, that student mobility, foreign students coming to India and Indian students going abroad in the higher education for taking higher education. You see that a pre-corona data I would like to quote in front of all of you is that we had nearly 3,75,000 students, those who have enrolled for higher education in foreign institutes. And you see that USA has the maximum share, nearly 36% of the total student mobilized from our country goes to US, followed by Australia, that is 19.55%, Canada 9.28, and UK 5.23 are the most preferred destinations. And you see that India's contribution to the foreign students is 6.7%. जो भी global data रहता है उसका 6.7% student जो रहता है वो foreign student जो रहता है वो Indian रहता है. Can anyone tell me that why people are preferring more foreign universities as compared to the Indian universities for the higher education? Can anyone tell me? Can anyone tell me, friends?
Quality of education and research purpose, research opportunities.
Research opportunities, quality of education. Anyone else? Can anyone tell what are the reasons why the students are preferring the foreign universities as compared to Indian university? There are several reasons, but one of the friend has told that research opportunities are more, then the funding opportunities are more in the foreign university. When it comes to the curriculum, there is an updated curriculum in the foreign universities. Then the ranking of the foreign universities are high in the global level, at the global level. So the job opportunities become more easy for the people of the higher education, those who are taking higher education. You see that as I have already told you, friends, we are having nearly 1100 universities, 45,000 colleges, and out of those, you see that a maximum universities are private universities. Nearly 400 universities are privately managed. 420 universities are located in rural area. 17 universities are exclusively for women, in which three are in Rajasthan, two in Karnataka, and Tamil Nadu, one each in Andhra Pradesh, Assam, Bihar, Delhi, Haryana, Himachal Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, Odisha, Uttarakhand, and West Bengal. In addition to one central open university, 14 state open university, one state private open university, there are 110 dual mode university which offer education through distance mode. Also, maximum 13 of them of distance education universities are located in Tamil Nadu. Annamalai and Algappa are the best example of those. There are 522 general, 177 technical, 63 agriculture and allied, 66 medical, 23 law, 12 Sanskrit and 11 language universities, and rest 145 universities are of other categories. The top 8 states in terms of highest number of colleges in India are Uttar Pradesh, Maharashtra, Karnataka, Rajasthan, Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, Madhya Pradesh and Gujarat. These are the top 8 states. यहाँ सबसे ज़्यादा colleges है. UP is at the first position, Maharashtra second position, Karnataka third, Rajasthan fourth, Andhra 5, Tamil Nadu 6, and Madhya Pradesh 7, and Gujarat is at number 8. And when there are colleges are more, but obvious, it is a thing where if the colleges are more, then the students are also more. Bangalore urban district have maximum number of colleges, followed by college density. College density, we have, you see friends, that in the college density, we are, when we talk about college density, यानी कि एक per lakh eligible population. What is the eligible population? That is 18 to 23. Varies from 7 colleges in Bihar to 59 colleges in Karnataka. In Bihar, for 1 lakh eligible population, we are having only 7 colleges. That goes to around 14,000 students per college as compared to 59 in Karnataka and 30 of all India average. 60% colleges are located in rural area. 10% colleges are exclusively for female. 2.7% colleges run PhD program, and 35.4% colleges run postgraduate level program. And there are 32.6% colleges which run only single program, out of which 84% are privately managed. Among these privately managed colleges, 37% colleges run B.Ed program only. 78% colleges are privately managed and 65% colleges are private unaided colleges. And you see that Andhra and Telangana have 80% colleges which are privately managed. 16% colleges are having enrollment less than 100, and 4% of colleges have enrollment of more than 3,000. Gross enrollment ratio of our country is 28%. And maximum students are enrolled for UG level. Nearly 80% students are enrolled for UG level. In UG also for arts, humanities and social science, we are having 32% students enrolled, followed by science 16%, for commerce 15% and engineering technology 12.6%. At PhD level, you see that maximum students are enrolled in engineering technology stream, followed by science. On the other hand, at PG level, maximum students are enrolled in social science, comes at number 2. And you see that UP comes at number 1 with highest number of students, followed by Maharashtra and Tamil Nadu. 168 countries contribute to the foreign students in our country. And top 10 countries constitute to 63.9%. Then highest share of foreign students come from neighboring countries like Nepal, Afghanistan, Bangladesh, Bhutan and Sudan. And you see, friends, that male-female ratio in teaching is very good in our country, where we are having 58% of male students, male teachers, and 42% of female teachers. So 58 to 42 ratio is one of the best in the entire globe when it comes to any working place. Maximum degrees in our country has been of BA, followed by BSc and BCom. At PG level, you see that MA students are more, followed by MSc and MBA. Then the highest number of students are graduated in arts. And at PhD level, maximum students are in science stream, followed by engineering and technology. And you see that one of the important point to note here, friends, is that state public university have more enrollment for PhD. Nearly 30% of the enrollment for PhD is in the state public university, followed by Institute of National Importance, that is IIDs and IIMs, 23%. Deemed university, 13%, and central university, 13.6%. Now, kindly go through this slide. It is very important to see here, friends, that how the things have grown post independence. Post independence हमारा सिनेरियो क्या था और पिछले 15-20 साल में हमारा हायर एजुकेशन कैसे चेंज हुआ है. Kindly take a note of it. You see, friends, that in the year 1950, we were having only 30 colleges, universities. Immediately after the independence, we had only 30 universities in the entire country. And the figure till the year 2000, यानी कि इंडिपेंडेंस के 50 साल के बाद में अगर आप फिगर देखें तो फिगर कुछ ज्यादा बड़ा नहीं था. इट वाज ओनली 250 यूनिवर्सिटीज. But you see that in the year 2022, we are having nearly 1168 universities. So we can say that, friends, in the past decade, the higher education has grown of our country, and we have seen that nearly from 250 university to 1100 universities we have jumped. Then when we are talking about the number of colleges, there were only 578 colleges post-independence. And till the year 2000, there were only 10,000 colleges. इतना कोई बहुत बड़ा ग्रोथ नहीं हुआ था. सिर्फ कुछ हजार कॉलेजेस बढ़े थे. But you see that, friends, till the year 2022, we are having 45,000 colleges. You see, friends, that as I have told you that Bangalore urban tops the maximum number of colleges, 1,000 colleges, followed by Jaipur, 606 colleges है जयपुर में. Then in Hyderabad we are having 482. In Pune we are having 467. Then in Prayagraj we are having 363. In Rangareddy we are having 352. In Bhopal we are having 326, and Nagpur we are having 325. Guntur we are having 301. In Ghazipur we are having 300 colleges. So it is really a proud moment where we can see that two of the districts from Maharashtra, that is Pune, जिसे ईस्ट का हार्वर्ड भी बोला जाता है, Pune and Nagpur are there. In Pune city itself, there are more than 467 colleges. और ये फिगर तो 2-3 साल पुरानी है, हो सकता. Now it has touched to 500. And in Nagpur, we are having 325 colleges. Friends, when we are talking about management-wise distribution of the colleges, you see, friends, 65% of colleges are privately managed. And you can know as a stakeholder of higher education कि हमारी जो नॉन ग्रांट कॉलेजेस की दुर्दशा कैसी रहती है जब सैलरीज की बात आती है, इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर की बात आती है. आई एम नॉट टॉकिंग अबाउट ईच एंड एवरी, बट देर आर कॉलेजेस इन विच नॉन ग्रांट कॉलेजेस, प्राइवेटली मैनेज्ड कॉलेजेस, जहां पर आप देखिए कि हमारे पास में 65% कॉलेजेस ऐसे हैं जो प्राइवेटली मैनेज्ड हैं. ग्रॉस एनरोलमेंट, अभी आप देखिए कि कॉलेजेस की संख्या बढ़ी है, यूनिवर्सिटीज की भी संख्या बढ़ी है, और उसके साथ साथ ग्रॉस एनरोलमेंट रेशियो भी हमारा बढ़ा है. जो ग्रॉस एनरोलमेंट सिर्फ हमारा था 0.4 बिफोर after independence, it has improved only to 20% in the year 2011 and 12. And now it is at 28%. And what is the target of this NEP 2020? To take the gross enrollment ratio to 50%. How the things have jumped when it comes to the enrollment in the universities. You see that state public university has saw a jump of 22% of the enrollment. जो enrollment 2011 में 24 लाख का हुआ करता था, वो आज बढ़कर जो है 30 लाख हो चुका है. और वैसे ही स्टेट प्राइवेट यूनिवर्सिटी में कितना बड़ा ग्रोथ है. आई वुड लाइक टू have your attention to this slide where you see the enrollment of the state private universities. It has increased from 2 lakh students, 2.7 lakh students to 16.2 lakh, nearly a jump of more than 500% in the state private university. और वैसे ही जो सेंट्रल यूनिवर्सिटी है उसमें भी इनरोलमेंट जो हुआ है, इट इज increased from 25.55 lakhs to 7 lakhs, an increase of 26%. What are the major concern of the higher education of our country? First is severely fragmented higher education ecosystem. Then less emphasis on development of cognitive skill and learning outcome. Then a rigid separation of discipline with earlier specialization and streaming of student into narrow areas of study. Then limited access, particularly in socio-economical disadvantaged areas, with few higher education that teach in local language. Then limited teacher and institution autonomy. Inadequate mechanism for merit-based career management and progression of faculty and institutional leadership. Then lesser emphasis on research at most universities and colleges and lack of competitive peer reviewed research funding across the discipline. Suboptimal governance and leadership of higher education institution. Ineffective regulatory system. Large affiliating university resulting in low standard of UG education. What key changes should be there in the current system? Moving towards a higher education system consisting of large multidisciplinary universities and colleges with least one in or every district, and with more higher education institution across India that offer medium of instruction or program in local Indian languages. Then moving towards more multidisciplinary UG education, moving towards faculty and institutional autonomy, then revamping curriculum, pedagogy, assessment, and student support for enhanced student experiences. Then reaffirming the integrity of faculty and institutional leadership positions through merit appointment and career progression based on teaching, research, and services. Establishment of National Research Foundation to fund outstanding research, peer-reviewed research, and to go actively seed in the university and colleges. Governance of higher education institution by high qualified independent board having academic and administrative responsibility. Light but tight regulation by single regulator of higher education. What we are witnessing today, that is the Higher Education Commission of India. It will be there in the near future. You will see that all the regulators will be merged and there will be a single regulator of higher education, and that will be called as Higher Education Commission of India. Then increased access, equity and inclusion through range of measures, including greater opportunities for outstanding public education, scholarship by private philanthropic university for disadvantaged and unprivileged students, online education, ODL, and all infrastructure and learning abilities accessible and available to learners with disability. Through this slide, friends, I would like to quote you that how the funding is a major concern of our country's higher education system. Taking the example of one of the renowned university at global level, there it is the Harvard University. And the budget of the Harvard University, I would like to quote here, in the year 2013, the budget was 30,000 crores. While after the 5 years also, our country's entire education budget, higher education budget, was 26,000 crore. Still behind one university budget of the higher education. So, funding is one of the major issue of our higher education. Another one is the affiliating system. You see that the affiliation system, what we are running today, college affiliation system, it is a gift given to us from the Britishers. And in this NEP 2020, you see that the affiliation system will be completely wiped out in the coming 10 to 15 years. No affiliated colleges will be seen. Autonomy will be given to the colleges. And it is one of the major concern of our higher education system, the affiliating system. And it is only in the colonized country like Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka in our country. Gross enrollment will be increased to 50%. There will be choice-based credit system is going on in our country. Multiple entry and exit for 3 years UG, 4 years UG program. In the 3-year UG, if you exit from first year, you will get a diploma. If you exit from second year, you will get an advanced diploma. Again, at the third year, you will get a proper degree. So, it is a lacuna of this NEP 2020 that if you give an option to the student will start to move out from the first year. What things need to be done in the higher education of our country? You see that the center and state will work together to increase the public investment in education sector to reach 6% of GDP at the earliest. Then academic bank of credit is there. Then the NEP learning will be holistic, joyful, stress-free and life learning process. Then NEP will focus on critical thinking, discovery, inquiry, discussion and teaching based on analysis and holistic learning method. Regulator for higher education will be light but tight. Then focuses on online learning to ensure that students are educated to the highest standard in the new system. E-learning will be expanded to include online courses which will provide flexibility in terms of location for time for student. And by the end of 2040, the aim will be that all universities will become multidisciplinary institution, each of which will have 3,000 or more students. Then college affiliation will be phased out completely in the coming next 15 years. Then this is one of the way we can make our school more connected to the community and provide them with great opportunity. What are the advantages of this NEP 2020? You see that schooling will be available to everyone with the help of NEP 2020. 2 crore students, school students will able to come back to educational institution through this new approach. For children up to age of 8, a national curricular and pedagogical framework for earlier childhood care and education will be designed and developed by NCERT. One of the merit of NEP 2020 is formation of National Book Promotion Policy in India. An appropriate authority will conduct the school examination for grade 3, 5 and 8. The board for 10th and 12th will continue, but NEP 2020 aim to redesign the structure of holistic development. The new plan focuses on setting up gender inclusion fund, special education zone for disadvantaged regions and group is also focused in the list. Then special daytime boarding school, Bal Bhavans to be established in every state district in India. These boarding schools will be used for participation in the activities related to play, career art. Then by 2022, in consultation with teachers and experts organization, NCERT, SCERT, the National Council for Teachers Education will develop a common national professional standard for teachers. Then, according to NEP 2020, an academic bank of credit has been established and the credit earned by students are now stored, and when the final degree get completed, those can be counted. Multidisciplinary education and research institutions at par with IITs and IIMs are being set up in our country, and these are scheduled to be set up for introducing multidisciplinary academics. Then the same list of accreditation and regulation rules will be used for guiding both public and private academic bodies. Affiliation system will be abolished, autonomy will be given to the colleges. 4-year B.Ed degree program will be there. And for making the student prepared for future pandemic situation, online academics will be promoted on a large scale. There are also few drawbacks of this NEP 2020. Language is a negative factor as there is a problematic teacher to student ratio in our country. Thus, introducing mother languages for each subject in the academic institution is a problem. And you see that sometimes finding a competent teacher becomes a problem, and another challenges come with the introduction of NEP 2020. And you see that according to this NEP 2020, student willing to complete the graduation have to study for 4 years, while one can easily get his diploma degree in 2 years. This might encourage people to leave the courses in way. You see that another lacuna of this NEP 2020 is that student of private school will be introduced English at much earlier age than the student of government school. The academic syllabus will be taught in the respective regional languages of government school. Then this is one of the major drawbacks of this NEP 2020, as it will increase the number of students uncomfortable in communicating English, thus widening the gap between the section of the society. Also, NEP and internationalization will be a major focus of this NEP 2020. Internationalization at home, capacity building in international initiative, collaborative communication between Indian and international faculty, then international dimension to curricula in the scenes of social science beyond to spark deeper reflection about the course content, then quality residential facilities to the students from abroad to ensure effective learning conditions, then friendly environment for incoming students for the safe, positive and holistic approach, offering local language courses and other bridge courses as needed, then fostering connection among domestic and international student and value inputs for international student on campus, then short-term non degree niche courses to create global perception about core competency in yoga, philosophy, Ayurveda, health, Sanskrit, Vastu Shastra, courses and program in subjects like knowledge of India, its language, arts, history, culture, and global context. Then incorporating internationalization objective into institutions, border quality assurance process for teaching, learning, community engagement. Global citizen approach, critical thinking, problem solving, communication skill, cause culture awareness, adaptability will be there. Then ICAS is also introduced now, where 10% of our syllabus should be devoted to ICAS. In Indian science and technology, like you can design the courses on fundamentals, metricology, textile chemistry, water management and transportation, mathematics and astronomy, ecology and environment. Then IKS based chemistry, Indian economics and business model can be also taught. Then we are having ancient Indian art and architecture. Then we are having mathematics in India from Vedic period to modern times. Then basic of Indian astronomy. Then ICT, role of ICT. You see, friends, that as all of you know that pre-corona, the role of ICT was very less and it was very negligible. But post-corona, you see that the role of ICT has increased in higher education, YouTube lectures, use of Google Forms in research, then MOOC lectures, online courses these have been increased. And you see that post-pandemic, we will be in hybrid mode now. We can't completely switch to the offline mode. We can be in a hybrid mode now. So infrastructure upgrading, then streamlining process of admission through ICT. As I have told you that data collection and analysis, virtual partnership with the foreign experts in workshop, webinars and conference, then virtual mobility by exposing students to the foreign universities through e-conferences and workshop, renewing and updating the learning approaches with help of technology, reinforcing learning process through additional learning material to make process truly international, effective responding to the demand of student with the help of ICT-based learning tools and collaborative learning, leveraging the potential of technology from integrated digital platform to video lessons, exploring pedagogical opportunities of ICT in internationalization, then academic and research collaboration, then we can have a student exchange program for short duration visit to reputed universities, then semester abroad programs under a tuning agreement, then faculty members should be encouraged to get exposure to the foreign universities in exchange program, short-term projects, then expanding strategic research partnership with international higher education institution, then organizing academic and research workshops, seminars, and conferences in partnership with international universities. Then collaborating with alumni, both student and faculty at various foreign universities for academic and research activities. Then formation of knowledge partnership, that is network of individual research who contribute to knowledge, experience, resources, and partnership in two-way communication. Then establishment of chairs abroad in the name of eminent Indian scientists and scholars and philosophers. Brand building abroad should also be done, where higher education institutions should be encouraged to undertake brand building exercise to make India and their institution attractive study destination. Then preparing countries specific based academic and market research on priorities for prospective student. Accordingly, student strategies may be formulated, implemented with the help of government and regulatory bodies to attract students to study in India. Then higher education institution can be encouraged for offshore campus in order to expand this outreach. Then we can have we can conduct seminars and workshops at global level. Then we can also offer open and distance learning programs. Then we can publicize best practices of our education system at our institution to global academic and research community. Then we can popularize language courses, bridge courses, short-term non-degree niche courses on Indian art, culture, yoga, Ayurveda, Buddhism. Extensive use of digital platform and virtual world. Alumni Connect can be done. We can have an office of international affairs. Then role of higher education system in the society is very important, friends, where you see that they should involve stakeholders like regulatory bodies, international organization, Alumni Connect, then cultural context, both home and abroad, then optimizing, implementing through establishment of Office of International Affairs and communicating effectively with stakeholders, then impact of assessment on institutions, internationalization strategy, monitoring their implementation and take remedial measures on basis of assessment, then develop statistical indicators and surveys to support future strategies. Monitoring and assessment can be done. Then general scholarships can also are there in our country. So to conclude this session of mine, where our focus should be on 3 language instructions in school. We should encourage the use of vernacular languages, then promote the study of Indian classical languages. Then we should strengthen teachers' education. We should increase the use of technology in education. We should improve assessment and evaluate procedures. Then we should introduce new grading system that does not use marks and percentage and implement standardized curriculum across all the countries. And we should also have National Education Commission to oversee the implementation of NEP 2020. So, friends, if there are any questions, you can raise. General related to higher education, related to NEP 2020 also, the questions are welcome. You can raise those.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Participants, if there are any questions, couple of questions we will take. We are really appreciate if there are some questions to answer that. Please, anyone. Hello. Yes, anyone has any question? If someone has any question or the query, they can directly ask to Professor Rafi sir. Or there is no question, specific question of the queries, then we can conclude. Please let us confirm. Shall we conclude, participants, if there are no questions?
Yes, sir.
Hello, Dr. Rafi sir, shall we conclude? I think
Yes,
there are
yes,
no...
Ankit ji, if there are no questions, because also I am meeting at
Yes, sir. Please
4:45.
conclude.
That's why I have concluded a little early also.
Okay, sir. Okay. So on behalf of Malviya Mission Teacher Training Center, Sant Gadge Baba, Amravati University, and Shri Shivaji College of Art, Commerce and Science, Akola, I extend my sincere thanks to Professor Rafi sir for your valuable inputs towards this entire education system and the drastic changes that have been taken places in the today's scenario. We are really thankful to you, sir, for your precious time and thought-provoking session here. And with the kind consent of Dr. Rafi, sir, I would like to declare that this session will be over here. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. And thank you, participants.